If you weren't fully awake as you watched yesterday's Supreme Court confirmation hearings, you may have missed Amy Coney Barrett, who seems like a decent person, saying something deeply offensive. We're going to replay it for you for its news value. We want to preface that with an NC-17 warning. Here's what she said.
I have no agenda, and I do want to be clear that I have never discriminated on the basis of sexual preference and would not ever discriminate on the basis of sexual preference.
Yeah, you heard it. Sexual preference. It's hard to watch that. Fortunately, Hawaii Senator Amy Hirono was in the building to prevent future generations from having to live with filth like that spoken aloud. Watch.
Not once, but twice, you use the term sexual preference to describe those in the LGBTQ community. And let me make clear, sexual preference is an offensive and outdated term. It is used by anti-LGBTQ activists to suggest that sexual orientation is a choice. It is not. Sexual orientation is a key part of a person's identity.
So the world is falling apart. China is taking over the world. The American economy is in shambles, and there's a presidential election in 3 weeks. But luckily, America's dumbest senator, Amy Hirono of Hawaii, is upset about the right things. The term sexual preference, it's a slur. As it turns out, she didn't know that herself until some left-wing Twitter personality made that discovery yesterday morning. But things move fast. By afternoon, Democrats were repeating it in the Amy Coney Barrett confirmation hearings. And by evening, our dictionary, the Merriam-Webster dictionary, updated its definition of the word preference to indicate that the term sexual preference is, quote, offensive. In other words, Amy Hirono, truly the slowest person to hold public office in the history of this country, is now in control of our dictionary. Whew! Is that good news or bad news? Hard to know. It's definitely not good news for Democrats, many of whom made that very public slur just until the other day. Joe Biden, for example, must be canceled now.
Rebuild the backbone of this country, the middle class, but this time bring everybody along, regardless of color, sexual preference, their backgrounds. Because the president has become so divisive in terms of everything he's done, based on race, sexual preference, just across the board.
I did not think we should discriminate against people based on their sexual preference.
Allowing anyone to be in the military regardless of their sexual orientation or preference.
Oh, sexual preference. So Democrats want you to know it can't be a preference. Your sexual desires can't be voluntary. They're inborn. They're mandatory. You must go with nature. This is the only subject on which they're on nature's side, amazingly. And now the dictionary agrees with them. But Biden is not the only one to use the wrong words. It turns out, according to Amy Hirono, Ruth Bader Ginsburg herself was a bigot. Watch.
Our society has come to respect people, whatever their sexual preference.
Oh, we're going to have to rethink her sainthood. Amy Hirono wants to assure you, however, that this is a problem worth fighting. And if you don't understand that, you're probably dumb.
One of the things that we Democrats have a really hard time is connecting to people's hearts instead of here. We have a really hard time doing that, and one of the reasons that it was told to me at one of our retreats was that we Democrats know so much that is true, and we have to kind of tell everybody how smart we are.
The ultimate triumph of self-esteem. Amy Hirono considers herself an intellectual. It's just all too great.